What are you doing? You have to film a review for Return of the Jedi.
Not right now, Nate. There's a galactic war to fight.
Dude, Star Wars isn't real. It is a work of fiction. Owned by Disney, created by George Lucas.
It's real to me, man. Come on.
You will film a review of Return of the Jedi.
Alright. I understand what I must do. It's review time. Hello there. Hi everyone, it's Eric from TheLonelySpider, and today I'm going to be reviewing Return of the Jedi as part of Film Studios' massive The Skywalker Saga retrospective video. Something you all should know about me right off the bat is I am very much an original trilogy guy. I can find joy in all the movies, but for me, nothing beats the original trilogy. Over the recent months and years, the prequels have been getting a lot of love, and that's completely fair. Even though I grew up with the prequels, nothing beats the original trilogy for me. Those movies are the best. Here is my ranking of all the movies right here. I don't hate The Last Jedi, don't kill me. But yeah, so let's talk about Return of the Jedi. So you're probably wondering, Eric, if Empire Strikes Back is your favorite, why did you pick Return of the Jedi? And I was debating picking Empire Strikes Back when we were planning this whole thing, but ultimately I decided that Empire Strikes Back, everyone knows it's the best Star Wars movie, and everything that's been said about it has been said. Meanwhile, I have a lot to say about Return of the Jedi, and I figured that would be more interesting to talk about, so here we go. A lot of people consider Return of the Jedi to be the worst out of the original trilogy. And by worst, they don't mean it's a bad movie by any means, but it just isn't as good as the previous two installments, and that's fair. I think a lot of people get caught up in the fact that they don't like the Ewoks, they find them as an excuse to push out toys. They find Jabba's heist kind of useless in the long run, and they think Han Solo really has nothing to do in the movie, and to be honest, those are fair criticisms. Sure, more things can be criticized about the movie, but those are the three most common ones I hear. Ultimately, I don't know how I'd fix the Han Solo problem. There was a whole deal where Harrison Ford wasn't sure if he was coming back for the third movie or not, so I guess that was a problem they kind of couldn't really address in the script. With the Ewoks, I'll get into them later on why I like the Ewoks. Personally, I feel like if they changed them to Wookiees, it would have been a bit more effective, because then we could see Chewbacca interact with other Wookiees, and it's actually half believable that they could take down the Empire. And ultimately, yeah, Han's rescue at Jabba's palace is a little messy, but there's a lot of fun with it, and I'll get into why I like that sequence a little bit later. So when Return of the Jedi starts, Luke is at his absolute prime. For those who don't know, Luke Skywalker is my favorite Star Wars character. And I absolutely love the introduction of the green lightsaber. Luke has finally constructed his own lightsaber, and for those who don't know, green lightsabers symbolize Jedi who are stronger in the Force. So we already get a gauge of how powerful Luke is. We even see him choking out Jabba's guards on the way in there, and he's a lot more powerful, a lot more threatening, and this kind of power craze that Luke is on kind of comes back later when he almost jumps to the dark side when fighting Vader, which is another brilliant moment that I'm about to touch on. This film is Luke's final trial in order to become a Jedi Knight. He literally and metaphorically fights the dark side in this film. There's this brilliant moment where Vader teases Luke and threatens his sister, and Luke goes into an angry dark side rage, screaming, "Never!" And it's a great moment where the music swells and they fight, and he ends up cutting off Vader's hand. This is one of my favorite moments in the movie, because at this point, Luke looks at Vader's cybernetic hand, then looks at his own, and it's symbolizing that Luke has that part of Vader in him, and when he looks at his hand, it's a feeling of remorse, a feeling of regret. He knows that that angry outburst he just had at his father is a reminder that he can be slowly turned into the dark side. And this reminder ultimately is what makes him throw his lightsaber away and defy the Emperor, telling him, "You failed, Your Highness. I'm a Jedi, like my father before me." That is Luke's final step into becoming a Jedi Knight, and I think that is badass. Now, while Luke is an amazing character in this film, equally amazing is Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. This is the film where Darth Vader unfortunately passes away, and this is the film that contains Darth Vader's redemption. Anakin Skywalker is the one who will bring balance to the Force. And in this film, through the love of his son, he finally defies the Emperor and throws him down the elevator shaft where he should be dead. That's for whoever wants to tackle the Rise of Skywalker review. Throws him down the elevator shaft and brings balance to the Force, but in doing so, he dies. And when he takes off the mask and the real Anakin Skywalker is shown, that is the last bit of light that's always been in Darth Vader, looking upon Luke. And it's just phenomenal when you consider episodes 1 through 6, the journey that Anakin has been through. It's amazing, and it always kind of gets me emotional when Darth Vader dies. Side note, I also love that scene on Endor where Luke turns himself in and Vader's admiring Luke's lightsaber, and Luke begs Vader that there's still light in him, that it's not too late. And I just love that line that Vader has where he almost hesitates, and deep within that dark voice and that dark character, you almost hear a crack in it when he says,
"It is too late for me, son."
I just think that's a fantastic moment. This film also contains my favorite scene in all of Star Wars. The last 3 minutes of Return of the Jedi is pure cinema. It is beautiful. It is the finest storytelling. It is amazing. It starts when Luke has that funeral for Vader, where he puts Vader on the sticks and burns them, giving him a classic Jedi funeral. I love this scene because Luke is the only one who attends Vader's funeral, because to the rest of the galaxy he was a monster. But to Luke, the only one who ever had faith in him, he was still his father. And this is something I think the special editions actually enhanced, because then we get a montage of the galaxy celebrating the Emperor's defeat, and it adds some continuity to the prequels, and we truly get to realize how much power has left and how free the galaxy is now. And then we see everyone celebrating on Endor. It's a really wholesome moment between the Ewoks and the original cast. And then, literally, this is my favorite ever, is when Luke looks and sees the Force ghosts of Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. There's no words in the scene, it's just music. It's just a fantastic moment, and it served as the perfect conclusion to the original trilogy, and even to the prequel trilogy. And I think those last 3 minutes are beautiful, and they're my favorite, that's my favorite moment in all of Star Wars. So yeah, Vader, Luke, and the overall story of this film are my favorite parts of this movie. But I do have some little nitpicks. I don't hate these nitpicks as much as other people do, but I'm going to get into them now, and that is the Endor segments and Han's rescue. I'm going to get into the Ewoks first. I did say earlier that the film would have benefited if those were Wookiees instead of Ewoks, but ultimately, I'm going to be honest, I like the Ewoks. The Ewoks are a symbol that literally anyone, if they work together and if they have hope, can take down a big evil organization like the Empire. You can do anything if you have hope and if you have friendship, and ultimately the recurring theme of hope in Star Wars is thus reflected through the Ewoks. So I do like the Ewoks. That being granted, they can be a little kiddie at times. That's why I think Wookiees would have worked better, but it's nothing I was ever overly upset about. I think they benefit the theme really well, and my only other problem with the Endor segment is it can be kind of slow sometimes. The movie kind of comes to a bit of a halt when it gets there, but ultimately I'm able to look past it because I just love this movie. What can I say? Now, while I do think Han's rescue is a little flawed in the fact that the plan really doesn't make any sense, I still think it's a lot of fun. I love seeing Luke fight the Rancor. I love that moment where Luke jumps off the plank and he catches the green lightsaber and ignites it for the first time. I think that whole fight on Jabba's sail barge is really fun. Not to mention, boys, we get Slave Leia. Yeah, no, I think that whole segment is pretty flawed, but really fun overall. Which, honestly, the fact that it's really fun isn't enough of an excuse to warrant it. It could have been more well thought out in the script. However, I don't hate that segment. I think my favorite part about this segment is we really get to see where our characters are now. Because we get to see Leia. She's just not the princess character anymore. Leia was always very strong and very independent, but in this we see her going undercover, threatening Jabba with a grenade. Leia's badass. We get to see Luke at his full power, mind-tricking folks, choking folks, and we get to see that glorious green lightsaber. We get to see him outsmart his way into killing the Rancor, and yeah, and then we just catch up with Han and Chewie, and it's a really good introduction as to where our characters are now. If only it was executed better, then it would be a scene that people liked a lot more. Well, not even a scene, a full third of the movie that people liked more. Now, I know I just did a decent amount of nitpicking, and I know Return of the Jedi was second on my favorites list. And some of you may say, well, if there's that many problems with it, should it really be that high? And it's my second favorite. What can I say? I just love everything with Luke and Vader. All that is phenomenal. I love how it fits as an ending to that saga. It has some amazing moments of it between characters. I love that one part where they're about to get executed, and Han turns to Luke, and Luke goes, "I used to live here, you know," and Han's like, "Yeah, you're gonna die here, you know." Just little moments like that between the characters. I feel like this movie has all the characters at their absolute prime, whether that's Luke, Han, Leia, Vader, Chewie, C-3PO, R2, Lando. This is the movie that all the characters, like I said, they're all in their prime, and it's just really fun to watch them. I wish we would have gotten to see Luke's Jedi school post Return of the Jedi, though. I don't hate the sequel trilogy like a lot of people do. I can find a lot of enjoyment in it, but that was something I've always wanted to see, and now we're only going to see it through comic books and through a flashback where the whole place is burned down in The Last Jedi, so that's kind of disappointing, and I feel like that kind of kills a little bit of the enjoyment of Return of the Jedi in me, knowing we'll never get to see Luke train the next generation of Jedi. But that's like a little personal issue I kind of have with all Star Wars. Hopefully we might see Luke's Jedi School in the future, whether they show up in The Mandalorian, their own Disney Plus show, or I don't know, but that's something I really want to see. If I were to give a critical ranking on Return of the Jedi, I would give it an 8 lightsabers out of 10. If I were to give it a personal ranking about how much I love it, I'd probably give it a 9 lightsabers out of 10. Now, without further ado, we shall tackle Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Thanks for having me on this whole retrospective, Nate, and I hope you guys all have a fantastic day, and may the Force be with you.